Aye.
We just had our opening prayer, so we're about to jump into our discussion here.
Okay.
What an interesting article.
It is.
Yeah. I had no idea how much resources that Google put into learning about effective teams.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool. So let's dive right into it. The first question here is from your personal experience. What have been key behaviors in effective teams? CJ, do you want to kick us off here?
Yeah, sure. I think trust is kind of the underlying root of any good behavior that's going to help develop a team. And when the trust isn't there, people start second guessing your agendas, whether or not you're acting in the best interest of yourself or whether you're really acting in the best interest of the organization. And that can just create a toxicity that's hard to get rid of. It's existed in several organizations that I've been a part of, and we've actually eradicated it for the most part from one of them that I'm currently working at. But it took several years. We had to get rid of a few key employees and upper management actually. But I think the behavior is you trust someone until they give not to you, and when you do lose trust in them, you need to have that critical conversation and just describe the gap between this is what we agreed upon, this is what we thought was going to happen, this is what happened, and here's the difference, and let's talk about why we didn't follow through on.
Yeah, I like that. Welcome, Jonathan. We're just getting started here.
Well, thanks. We're running late. I'm glad the meeting got pushed back from the emergency hot water tank we had to replace.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we're just getting started with the first question on our preparation questions. We're talking about some key behaviors for effective teams. And sorry, do you go by Casey or CJ?
I think his internet froze, so he's somewhere in the airport, I guess.
Yeah, I know.
Wi-Fi must be in and out.
Yeah. Anyway, because his little nameplate on Hangouts says CJ, but he was just talking about trust and how important trust is as a behavior in an effective team. I definitely agree. I've seen, actually, I just recently went from a position where there was very little trust on the team to now I'm in a different team where there's just so much trust. It's completely night and day. And it's just easier to, I mean, it sounds dramatic, but it's just easier to live when you're on a team that you can trust. That's a lot of time that you spend with your coworkers on that team.
Right.
So.
Just to maybe add to this a little bit, interestingly enough, probably the best book on trust that I've seen is written by Stephen Covey's son. It's called The Speed of Trust. And I know they've used that as a textbook in this course in the past, and maybe they'll bring it back. But if you ever get a chance to take a look at that book, it's a terrific book.
Sorry,
what's that book called one more time?
The Speed of Trust.
Speed of Trust.
The Speed of Trust.
And it's by Stephen M.R. Covey. Covey's oldest son.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Casey. Casey, we were asking, do you prefer to go by Casey or CJ? Looks like your microphone's off. Are you able to?
Sure.
Can you hear us?
Not very good. I'm not sure what's going on. I dropped the call. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think it's terrific that he's trying to tune in from Germany.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that definitely makes
So
it
14 hour difference.
Right. Yeah, I think if you don't use the video, it should give you a little more bandwidth. I don't think it's. I mean, we don't mind we don't mind seeing you, but if we can't hear you.
Hold on.
Marie, did you have any ideas on some
Yeah, well,
behaviors in effective teams?
yes. I think trust is very important, and also respect. Respect to some, within your team. Noticing in different organizations I've worked with, without that respect, nobody will be willing to cooperate, aside from the trust. Because it's nice to have an authority for some people, but respecting you as a person and who you are and what can you bring to the team, it will play a lot of it will make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Those are definitely some very key behaviors for effective teams. I think that is pretty consistent with what we read.
Yeah.
Jonathan, did you have anything more to add?
Yes. Yeah. So what I was thinking kind of reminded me when I was in Afghanistan back in 2012. I deployed with a different unit that I didn't know 2 months prior to our deployment. I got pulled to go with a different unit out of Missouri, and we had to build that trust. I had to build that trust and that rapport with the team that I was going to be working with before I was with a different unit, and I knew the guys at least 2 or 3 years and had done a deployment with them, and then so building that trust and that respect and getting to know the people on your team can go a long ways and in situations where they have your back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be crucial. And thank you for your service. What branch did you serve in?
The Army.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I still don't think we got the answer. Do you prefer CJ or Casey?
Casey's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the Google Hangout says CJ on here, so
Sorry. Yeah.
that's all right. So we'll move on here. So the next question is talking about some group norms.
Mm-hmm.
So what do group norms have to do with effective team building?
Well, I guess because traditional team, they'll think somebody will be leading the group, and automatically they draw into that kind of traditional way of thinking and how to respond to a task that was given for as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very interesting reading the articles because two teams differently reacted in the same task. Some were able to be successful with it, and some fail because of how they see the norms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought something that struck me from the reading was talking about how there's constantly norms are being established, whether they're and I guess it's also part of this question talks about unspoken norms and spoken norms. And I think I don't know. I think the norms are much more effective when they are spoken. When you can have an honest conversation with your team, about what's expected and what and things that won't be tolerated. I think that makes a huge difference.
That's true.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So now it asks us, what do we think our norms for this group are? And I again would really like to thank you guys for your flexibility. I think that's at least from right now, from my perspective, that seems like a norm. I thank you for not giving me too much pushback on the changing the time. I'm really grateful for that. I'll try to be more consistent. From here on out. What other norms do we see in our brief association so far in these last two meetings?
Well, I think it's the flexibility of each other to accommodate each, our time frame differences and business of life. The flexibility and respect, as I mentioned, back to respecting other people,
Mm-hmm.
and not just concentrating on your own, So.
Right. Yeah, just the brief times we've met last week and this week, I think, we take turns talking and respectful that way. I've been in groups where people try to talk over you or cut you off, and I seem overall with just the brief interaction, everyone seems pretty respectful of that and listens and then waits their turn to interject.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm usually the personality that kind of sits back and is listening and would rather listen than talk.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Casey, I know this is
Yeah.
the first meeting, but
yeah, I missed last week's meeting, so I want to apologize for that. I was actually packing and trying to get a bunch of other stuff done so I could catch my flight the next morning, but to come here, so it's just been a weird timing thing. So, yeah, I think a lot of it is just I really feel like there is a presence that we all want to help each other out, whether that's trying to get me lined out on when the meeting is and when that's going to happen, and I wasn't sure who the leader was. Like I said, I've been running from meetings to meetings all week long. So thanks for sending the invite to my other email so that I could jump on with my phone rather than my laptop. That made it really convenient. But yeah, group norms. I think we've talked about a lot of them. Respect. I think we have developed some trust in each other, and we're trying to understand each other, and we're all working towards the same goal, right? It's not just to get through this class. It's to get our degree and just keep pushing forward and learning and growing. I think we built some unity in that. I don't think there's anything different than what we've already mentioned: respect, trust, and common goal.
Yeah, I agree. And I think those are very healthy, which is the next part of the question. Are these healthy group norms? I think so. Like I said, I definitely want to be more consistent with our time. I think that's something I know that I can work on. So hopefully, moving forward, we can stick to the 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time time for starting. And it seems like we're all pretty well prepared for this discussion. So I definitely appreciate that as well. Let's see. We'll move on now to psychological safety. So the question is, how does psychological safety in a team increase overall effectiveness? And then also thinking about that, what are the roles of communication and empathy in creating psychological safety?
Wow. What I got out of the reading was the psychological safety kind of stemmed around people feeling safe to be themselves. You shouldn't have to be one person at home and then go to work and be part of something else and be a different person. You should never be afraid to be criticized about who you are, and that's kind of I guess what I got from the reading. Yeah,
what an interesting concept. I was just kind of reflecting, like I mentioned before, I recently had a job change, and it's just such a different environment. And I think this is really at the core of it, is that my current situation is a lot more psychologically safe than my last one. And it's so much better. It just makes me fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Marie, did you have any thoughts on psychological safety?
It's not easy to find that people, a work environment that will provide a psychological safety. And speaking of this afternoon, one of my coworker snap on my other coworker and snap on our supervisor, and just like I was helping a client and just like, what's going on? That is very not good, and it creates distrust and create disrespect. It creates a lot of things on how you behave yourself. Well, that's who they are. And so for us to be who we are, within our family, within our, within school, within work, within the church, within our community, it's if you have that psychological safety for the team, it increase effectiveness in a way that you respect. They know that you can be trusted. They know that they can trust you in ways that, like last week, I'm really still distressed from what my, going on with my father-in-law, and you guys listen and you're there and knowing that you're a support for me. And that creates, not just psychological, but also emotional safety.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how's that going?
Oh, well, he just got out today. He was back on Tuesday again. I was ready to tell him, every time I turn around and head back home, you're back to the emergency room. His heart is palpitating and, rapid heart rate and all that. That's why he ended up in the emergency room and stayed there for a few days. And now he's out, and tomorrow is the oncologist appointment. So we'll find out. We wanted to find out how progressive this cancer is, and you want to prepare yourself too, and himself. So yeah.
Well, good luck. He's in our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you. It's a tough, because we're the only member in their family. There's 2 kids, and my husband is the oldest child, and yeah, so a lot of weight to carry on both of us to make sure mother-in-law is okay and father-in-law is okay. So yeah.
Well, in Google's research, it's a prime example. He talked about the effects of when he approached his group on an offsite meeting and told them that he was diagnosed with cancer, how much more personal and how much more safe the group became, right?
Yeah.
But when you expose yourself and let those kind of things out, people will trust you more.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I mean, I think it's interesting with this group is still pretty new. I feel comfortable with you guys.
Yeah.
I feel pretty safe, but there's still always that a little bit of reservation at the beginning. The next question is exactly already about what we're talking about is how to share personal experience and being vulnerable, influence team dynamics. And I definitely appreciate you, Marie, for sharing, what's going on in your life. And I think it helps us to relate, I think, because we all, I guess it's easy to be more focused on ourselves, but when we're given those opportunities to empathize and, with other people, it definitely draws us closer. John, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you guys pretty much hit all of it. But earlier this week with my coworker Jim, he's probably got 20 years on me in age, and we're pretty close together. We go fishing once in a while, but we were at lunch one day, and I didn't know about his wife, but she had to go, I think, renew her green card and so every 10 years or some paperwork, and he was just saying sometimes how they treat her, and it gets frustrating that they kind of talk down to her. She's from Canada, and I thought she got her citizenship when last time we talked about it a while back, but I guess not. And he was just kind of he was able to open up and talk to me and kind of just get that off his chest, because he's kind of frustrated with the whole situation and the whole day process. But it worked out well for him, because he had to go to the next day and go up there and take care of it with his wife. But it was just neat that he was willing to open up and kind of just let some steam out. I could see that earlier in the day he was kind of flustered at work and something was on his mind, and I didn't know until lunchtime.
Well, yeah, that'll definitely bring it closer together. That's a tough situation.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, being in the HR world, I've seen, just really, it's tough when there's citizenship hurdles to get over. Definitely. So the last question here, and I thought we do have some time that maybe we could, since we're all four of us are finally here together, that maybe we could just do some introductions, a little bit about ourselves after this last question. The last question is, what can you do as an individual to initiate effective team behavior?
Okay, I can start.
Okay.
Well, I think being an example yourself and living by an example, instead of creating the negativity, you create a positive team experience, and showing your vulnerability once in a while will help them connect to you. And for you at the same time, trying to connect with them by understanding their situations and getting to know them through family and stuff. I think knowing somebody through their family, it's easier to work with them if you know their family, but a little bit about their family, how many children they have, and by then you start creating some emotional trust. And if that emotional trust is not there, everything goes on a wayside. So
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, I think that's probably the number one thing that you can do is to just show that example. And we've talked about those key behaviors of trust and respect. I think that's ultimately the best thing that you can do to initiate an effective team behavior. So, does anyone have anything to add on that one?
No, I think that was really good.
Cool. Well, like I said, we've got a little time. So since we're all four here together for the first time, I would like to do some introductions. Maybe just your first, last name, what your profession is, if you have any kids, and where you're from. Casey, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I probably should because I keep having connection issues. I've dropped a couple times, but so yeah, my name's Casey Platus. I'll be 40 years old in January. I'm going after a business degree with an emphasis in entrepreneurial management. I've got about a year left. I've got 6 kids, been married 16 years. Three boys, 3 girls. Our oldest is 12, so 6 kids, all under 12 years old. Our youngest is 10 weeks.
Wow!
So I'm excited to get back home. Excited to get back home to them. I live in Idaho. I love the outdoors. I love fishing, hunting, anything outside with the family. I'm actually going hunting on Monday and Tuesday next week, so I'll spend a day with the family, then head out and go hunting. But
what are you hunting?
Deer, elk, bear, wolf. I've got a few tags.
Whichever one you see first.
What's that?
I said whichever one you see first.
Yeah, exactly. Whichever one moves, whichever. So I've worked at a company called Sputnik Equipment in Idaho for almost 11 years. Had several different roles there, but right now I'm the purchasing manager. I've been doing that about a year and a half. That's my main reason for coming to Germany, is to visit with some vendors and suppliers and build some networks. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Jonathan, you want to go next?
Sure. Jonathan Painter. I go by John or Painter. I'm a maintenance supervisor for a general contracting maintenance company that falls under a property management company. I have 3 kids, 2 girls and a little boy that's 6 months old, and then a daughter that's 5, and my other daughter just turned 4. Hobbies, I like to go fishing, and I'm big into dirt bike riding, and I'm riding my ATV on the sand dunes down in Oregon. And I live in Olympia, Washington.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Marie.
So do you go steelhead fishing?
I do, yeah. Yeah, with my coworker.
Cool. I take an annual trip down to the Salmon River once a year with my
Okay.
family in November.
Cool.
That's cool.
Fishing is not my thing, but I love fish. I like to eat fish. I grew up in the Philippines. I was born and raised there, moved here 16 years ago, and been married for, full name is Maria Morris. I go by Marie Morris, which I grew up with my family calling me with that name. So Marie. And as I mentioned, I was born and raised in the Philippines, moved here. I met my husband a long time ago when he was a missionary in the Philippines. And we didn't get married after how many years he's been back from his mission. So definitely he was not looking for a wife there when he went to serve a mission. But we've been married for almost 16 years this December, and we have a little boy, 11 years old, who's with our family, who's with our relative right now was visiting from Germany. Both of them went to Nutsberry Farm. And you can tell the anxiety of me today that it's first time being alone with somebody, mommy and daddy's not around, and so it's a little crazy for me today, but he's having fun. That's one thing. And I work for a bank called First Foundation Bank. It's a new, they've been in the business for about since 1990s something, about that time frame. And I started working at the bank for since January this year. And I think I thought of changing my career path, since I'm taking a business management with emphasis in finance. And for me to practice that, I have to go into something that is in a finance related field. And so, and luckily, I think the Lord wants us to stay up here where we live and help me find a job up here. So, and that's me. And I just love traveling, visiting historical places and stuff like that, and pretty much a homebody person.
And where was it that you're from now? You're in California, or?
Yes, I'm in Southern California, the town called actually Sugarloaf, which is like 7 miles out of Big Bear Lake. It's a ski resort town. So
Nice.
yeah. It's actually cold right now here.
Huh.
I got my heater on.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What's the good in being in California if it's going to be cold?
When you say-
No,
when you-
we're up in the mountains, so it gets cold.
When you say cold, are you saying like 60 degrees?
Oh, anything below 60 degrees for me is cold. I grew up in the Philippines, so it's humid and hot all the time. So anything below 60 or 70s, I'm cold.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's all relative.
Right. Yeah. So, so my name is Justin Richards. I am currently living in Denver, Colorado. I grew up in the Four Corners area of New Mexico. I'm single, living with 2 roommates out here. I just recently got a job at Southwest Airlines, working in their HR department. So I work for a satellite recruiting office where I help with the recruiting activities. And we hire for ramp agents, ops. This week and last week we've been doing flight attendants, so a lot of energy there. Yeah, I've been in Denver for 2 years now, just finishing a degree in business management, and recently trying to go after a job with, because at Southwest I'm contracted, so technically I'm not on the payroll quite yet. I'm work for a contractor company called Hyrogenics. So I'm trying to get in with Southwest for the long term, because it's been so far in my short time there, it's an amazing company. I think it's something I definitely want to stick around.
Mhm.
Yep. Brother Lamphere, we're just doing some introductions. Do you want to? We're just talking about where we're from. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Montana, but it's been a long time since I've been there for any length of time. I currently live in California, and I kind of like Marie. I live up in the mountains. If you know where Lake Tahoe is,
Yeah.
I live up by Lake Tahoe and been up here for about 20 years. And this is my second semester with BYU Idaho. So I'm not a rookie, but I'm still pretty green. So we're enjoying it very much. So
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us. That's something we don't always get. It's all online teachers, but we definitely appreciate having you.
Mhm.
I'll share a little anecdote with you in the context of your reading assignment. The book we're studying this, well, for at least the first part of the semester. I was first introduced to the 7 Habits by attending a one-day seminar at BYU in Provo in 1976. Stephen Covey made a presentation there, and I attended that, and I still have my notes from that class.
Wow.
And that was a long, long time before the book came out, and it was everything in the book was talked about back in 1976, or at least most of what was in the book. So it's very principle-based,
Mhm.
good stuff. And I have kind of a bias to that. I think he's great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I first read it when I was actually selling Living Scriptures, the cartoon Book of Mormon movies.
I remember those.
Couple summers back. It was not a successful summer, but reading that book definitely made it easier. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. We will. I think John, we had you on the schedule for next week.
Yep.
So if you'll prepare for that, and we'll do our part to prepare for those questions. I think we'll go ahead and plan on 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time on Thursday.
Okay.
That's going to be Thursday the 18th.
Mhm.
So, yeah, if there's anything comes up, I think we've already mentioned we're all pretty flexible. So definitely, I think our first form of communication will be the email link that we're all on. So yeah, be sure to keep us in the loop.
Have a safe flight, Casey.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
See you next week.
Yep. See
Have a
ya.
great weekend.
Bye.
Ciao.
Okay. Bye.